The first time I saw tango was actually here in Wellington, apart from seeing it on television back home in England. A friend from work had been trying to persuade me to come along to tango classes. She was telling me all the virtues of tango, and that was at the time that the first tango festivals were being held up at the chateau. I was intrigued, but it wasn't until I was actually getting towards the end of my first contract here in 2004 that I actually came along to a couple of classes. And I went to one of Alex's classes, and it was a very, very quick introduction to tango, along with salsa and merengue and a couple of other Latin dances, all in the space of about an hour, before a milonga at Latino's bar. Although it was very brief, I did actually kind of take quite a lot in, and I kind of carried that with me for a while. But I did start to get interested in the music. I started to buy tango music. I had a couple of classes with Matthew, group classes, and it wasn't enough to really kind of understand what the whole thing was about, but I was intrigued by it. It felt more like a kind of strange ritual than a dance in many ways, and something about it that just really took my interest. Then when I went back to England, I kind of forgot about it for a while, although I kept listening to the music, and I did keep on practicing some of those steps which I barely understood. But I thought there was very unlikely to be any tango opportunities in Devon, and then I found out to my surprise a couple of years later that it was actually a very active tango community in Devon. Started going to classes, went to a festival, and I was totally hooked from that point. And I think as much as anything, it was seeing the expressions on people's faces when they were dancing. I began to understand that it was very much an internal dance. It wasn't about steps or moves. It was about feelings, and that was really the start of my kind of tango journey. You've got to have the vocabulary, but the emotional side of it is what really draws me and keeps me interested.
I've seen something you've written where you've described tango like a story, like the blues. There's a kind of a story arc. Does it still
there is.
hold?
I mean, I don't actually understand most of the lyrics. I researched some of them so I can kind of understand what the singers are going on about. But there is, just in that kind of 3 minutes of dance and music, there is a little kind of storytelling arc that goes on. It's not something you want to kind of analyse too much, but the reason I prefer traditional tango to nuevo, which just seems to kind of go on endlessly without a real kind of form, is that with a tango you do get the sense of a theme, variations, and some kind of a climax. So yeah, so understanding the actual, something about the structure of tango, I find is very useful for the dance. It just makes it so much more enjoyable.
What music have you loved?
Well, there's so much music that I love. It's the older stuff which is more and more appealing to me. But the standards, you know, the great musicians and orchestras like Canaros and Disali and Pugliese and D'Arienzo, they're obviously always there in the forefront. But there are lots of less well-known orchestras that I'm discovering even now, from earlier on, from the late 20s, mid to mid-30s, that produce a huge amount of fantastic music, which is very little played in milongas. I play it whenever I can, and I just love it. So orchestras like Maglio and Pedro Mafia and the early sextets of Disali and others. Yeah, I just get so much from the... It's not just a dance, it's a whole kind of culture, it's a whole... and a history, a fantastic history. This miraculous music that just appeared, and has just changed so many lives as well. I mean, people get really devoted to tango.
Have you been to Buenos Aires?
No, I haven't done that part of the journey yet, but I'm sure I will do. Yeah, I want to be really good when I go.
And you speak Spanish?
No, not yet.
But
And it's unlikely that I'm going to actually start learning, I think.
But you do feel as if there's a whole kind of culture that you've embraced.
Yes, I mean, even before I came across tango, I was actually very interested in Argentinian culture, and particularly the writings of Borges. He's probably my favourite author still, and I think I've read just about everything he's written. So I was kind of reading a lot of the stories that kind of drove the early development of the tango as well. You know, the stories of kind of low life in Argentina, in Buenos Aires, in the suburbs, very much reflected in the early tangos. And I was really thrilled to find that Borges has actually written some milongas as well with Piazzolla. Yeah, so it's discoveries like that that really I find kind of thrilling.
And they connect in with all of your life.
Yeah.
How does your drawing connect into tango?
I'm still trying to work out how that will fit in. I do occasionally do drawings in which I'm trying to kind of understand movements and shapes and things related to the dance. And I've also done drawings which are just drawing while listening to the music, which is kind of influenced by it in some way. But no, it's very much a separate thing, really. It's kind of it's an escape from that side of my life into something that I hadn't really explored. Well, one of the nice things about Wellington is that there's a really wonderful tango festival that happens every year, in which you have the opportunity to be taught by visiting teachers from Buenos Aires and other places. And I've enjoyed those more and more. Found them very valuable. And you have all these different tango communities in different parts of New Zealand as well that come together at occasions like that. So there's a wonderful tango community in Christchurch, and you'd have people from Auckland and the South Island and Wellington, and most of the other guests are from Australia. And we come together for a long weekend, which kind of extends into about a week of just dancing and classes and immersion courses. And that's a real kind of highlight of the tango year.
Coming to Wellington has changed your life.
Yes, been coming to Wellington for quite a while now, so it's a total of 12 years working here. And that's not 12 years of kind of settling down here and kind of having a home. It's kind of more or less 12 years of just thinking about work. And tango has been the other side of that coin. It's somewhere else where I've found a home, is actually in New Zealand, in the tango community here. And I'm very grateful for that. And I'll always remember the dancers that I met here.
And you'll be missed.
Well, maybe just a little bit.